Hi guys. Alright, so today we're continuing with inequalities, and what we're going to be looking at is first of all using addition and subtraction to solve each inequality, okay? So remember, when we solve for inequalities, you're trying to isolate the
variable, and then you're going to, instead of having an equal symbol like you do for an equality, you're going to have a less than or equal to, greater than or greater than equal to symbol. So you can solve inequalities in the same way you solve equations. Use inverse. Okay, remember, inverse means what? Inverse means opposite. That's opposite. Okay, use inverse operations to get the variable by itself. Alright, so the addition property of inequality. When you add the same number to each side of an inequality, the inequality remains true. Okay, so if you were going to solve x minus 4 is less than negative 1. If you do plus 4 and plus 4, the inequality remains true because you're doing the same thing to both sides. Okay, so that basically these two sides balance out. So what you're going to do, these x's would cancel out, because if you're at negative 4 on a number line and you go forward 4, you'd be at 0. So these cancel out. And what you're left with is negative 1 plus 4. Well, if you think about a number line, if you were at negative 1 and you go forward 4 spaces, you're going to be at 3. And you keep the symbol. So this would be x is less than 3. And that's how you solve that inequality. Okay? So x could be anything less than 3. It cannot be equal to 3, but it could be anything less than 3, starting with 2.9 and going down. Okay? Alright, so let's look at the next, we're talking about subtraction here. Subtraction property of inequality. When you subtract, okay, up here the key thing is add, when you add. Here the key thing is when you subtract. Stay in your seats, we're not going anywhere. Okay, when you subtract the same number from each side of an inequality, the inequality remains true. So if you had 12 is less than or equal to y plus 16, you want to get the y by itself on one side. You want to move, essentially you're moving this 16 over to the other side. So the way you do that is you got to subtract 16 from both sides. Minus 16, minus 16. So what you would have left, these 16s would cancel, and you have y over here, and then you have your less than or equal to symbol. And if you were to think about it, if you're at 12 and you go back 16 places, you'd be at negative 4. Alright? So we're not dealing with negative numbers right now, but that's what you would get for that. Okay, so these practice problems. Go ahead, pause the video, and I want you guys to work 1, 2, and 3, and then once you get those worked out, unpause the video. I'm going to work them here with you just to make sure you got the right answer. Okay? So go ahead, pause the video. Okay, so I want to get x by itself. I have to get rid of the 7, so I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Okay, these 7s cancel out. And what I'm left with on this side is x. I have my greater than or equal to symbol. And what is 19 minus 7? 12. Okay, so x is greater than or equal to 12. The next one, I want to get t by itself. Opposite of subtraction is addition. So add 5 to both sides. And these 5s cancel, because if I was at negative 5 and I go forward 5 places, I'd be at 0. So what I have left is t is less than. And if I was at negative 7 and I go forward 5 spaces, I would be at negative 2. So this is my answer here. All right.
we're not going to be dealing with negative numbers, but on this problem, this is what you would get. All right. Number 3, 1.4 is less than z minus 3.6. Okay? This is why I want you guys to show your work and solve the problem, because you don't know exactly what minus 3.6 is going to give you 1.4. Maybe you could do that in your head, but eventually the problems are going to get tougher. So you have to show your work. I want to get z by itself, so I add 3.6 to both sides. Okay? These 3.6's cancel out. What I'm left with is z is equal to, and if I add 1.4 plus 3.6, well, 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry the 1. Bring down my decimal. That's 3, 4, 5. So I got 5. So z is equal to 5.0, or you could just say z is equal to 5. All right. The word problem. The school auditorium seats 350 students. There are 309 students already seated. Write and solve an inequality that represents the additional number of students that can be seated. All right? So pause the video. You guys try to come up with an inequality and then show me what you have, and we'll see if we have similar inequalities. All right? So pause the video. All right. We'll go to the back side here. Now we're going to look at solving inequalities using multiplication and division. Multiplication and division property of inequality. So when you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by the same positive number, the inequality remains true. All right? So here's the example. Solve. 0.5 is less than m over 2. And you could write that 0.5 is less than m over 2. I don't know exactly why they did that there. And I'm looking at this and I'm not exactly sure what they're doing here. 0.5, oh, never mind. I'm sorry guys, I was confused for a second. You have m over 2, this is division. Okay, I was wondering why they're putting this in parentheses, but I see now. Okay, the way I want you guys to show it, let's write this over here. 0.5 is less than m over 2. Okay, the way I want you guys to show it is this is division, m divided by 2. The opposite of division is multiplication. So there's the lawnmower going by. Okay, you're going to multiply by 2 over 1. Okay, I want you to write as a fraction, and I'll show you why in a second here. And then you could put this in parentheses. You're going to multiply the other side by 2 over 1. And 0.5 you could put over 1. Okay, this is multiplication going on. There's a little dot here. All right. These 2's cancel out, because if I multiplied across, I would get 2m over 2. All right. So 2m over 2, the 2's would cancel out because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I'm just going to cancel them right here. But this is what you would get if you multiplied across. I'm just showing you why you can cancel those out. So, excuse me. What you're going to have left is m, and then you got your less than symbol here. Over here you would just do 2 times 0.5. So over here, let's do 0.5 times 2, 0.5 times 2, and that's 10. And I move my decimal 1 spot, so my answer is 1. The way that you would read that, 1 is less than m. Okay? 1 is less than m. Okay. So they're just showing you if 1 is less than m, well, that's another way. So basically, m is greater than 1, okay? M has to be bigger than 1. Okay. So that's when you're dealing with positive number. And this, well, we're not going to do that problem because we're not dealing with negative. I don't want to get into dividing negative numbers here.
All right. So, over here on the side, guys, well, let me see here. No, we got a problem down here on the bottom that'll talk about that. Okay, so here, guys, go ahead and do the practice problems. This is negative 1.8 is less than 3w. I want to get rid of the 3w, or I'm sorry, I want to get rid of the 3. I want w by itself, so I have to do what here, guys? This is multiplication, I have to do the opposite, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Okay? So these 3's would cancel out. What you're going to have is w, you have your less than symbol. I have to do negative 1.8 divided by 3. Let's just change this, guys, to just cross out that negative symbol. So it's just 1.8, okay? So over here, if I do 1.8 divided by 3, okay, 3 does not go into 1, so that's 0. Put your decimal up there. 3 goes into 18 6 times. So this would be 0.6. The problems on the test, guys, are going to be easier than these. So if you can do these, you can do any kind of problems, any inequality problems like this. So once again, guys, let's cross out the negative symbol and this negative symbol. All right, so we have 8t is greater than or equal to 4. I want to get rid of the 8, so I'm going to divide by 8. Divide by 8. These 8's cancel out, and what you have is t is greater than or equal to, well, 4 divided by 8, I know that 4, if I simplify this, I divide by 2 on the top, divide by 2 on the bottom, and I'm going to get, I'm sorry, I don't want to divide by 2, I want to divide by 4. Divide by the biggest number that you can think of that goes into both of those. So my answer would be 1/2. So t is greater than or equal to 1/2. Okay? All right, this last one, let's once again cross out these negative symbols because we don't want to deal with negative numbers. So 4 is greater than, I'm sorry, 4 is less than or equal to r over 3. So r over 3, that's division. I want to do the opposite. So instead of dividing by 3, I need to multiply by 3 on both sides. So I put it 3 over 1, and over here I'm going to do 3 over 1. Stay where you are, that's not us. Okay, so once again, guys, these 3's cancel out, and I'm left with r. I keep my symbol here. And what is 3 times 4? 12. So 12 is less than or equal to r. Okay? Alright. You guys go ahead, work the word problem down here, and then see me and see if you got the same answer that I did, okay? Alright, thanks for listening, guys. If you do show me your work, you have everything completed, you have all the example problems completed, come see me and let me know. Alright, thanks, guys.